Mike Bohn here at UFC X Radio Row with another Michael Chiesa. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. It's good to see you again.
Yeah. How's married life?
Married life's been really good to me, man. Big chapter of my life. It's been really good.
How much important has it been to take this little bit of time off, focus on some personal stuff in your life? Has this been a good break for you?
I mean, yes and no. Honestly, after the Sean Brady fight, me and my then fiance, now wife, kind of talked like I'm going to take time off to plan the wedding and gear up for that. And I got the itch to come back and compete, and I actually sustained a back injury like at the end of February, early March. So I've just been kind of on the mend with that, but being out here, big fight feels out here, so it's I got the itch to compete again, but I got to make sure my body's right.
Is that a new type of injury, or something you've dealt with maybe earlier in life? How would you kind of describe it on that front?
It's kind of been an ongoing issue, but that's the good thing about the UFC PI. They're taking care of me. They're making sure I'm getting taken care of. Just it's important for me, especially with where I'm at, coming off 2 losses. Like, I can't go into a fight and like handicap myself trying to put a Band-Aid on an injury that like needs to be stitched up, if you know what I mean. So that's the most important thing, is just to make sure I'm healthy, but I'm hungry. I got the fire. I want to fight. The welterweight division is really getting interesting. A lot of prospects coming up, and a lot of veterans that are well established in the division are still shining bright. So just want to make sure I'm healthy when I get back in there.
Yeah, and obviously you don't want to play with the back. That's like one of the things where you don't mess around with. So like, is it too soon to even give a time frame on when you could fight?
It's tough to say, man. I mean, it's I can just, before I set that date for myself, I just want to make sure I'm healthy. Like, the most important thing is like get my back fixed, be able to get in the gym, train for like 4 weeks, and just not have any issues, and then kind of go from there. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. I've been in the company for 10 years. I've been fighting the best in the world for 10 years, and I know how to approach this. I haven't sustained a lot of damage in my fights, but the damage I do to myself is always in training. So I just got to make sure that I get myself taken care of before I get back under those bright lights.
And it's not like you're hidden away, off the radar. I feel like I see you on TV like every week, working the broadcast, things like that. How, I guess, good has it been to do that and keep yourself very involved in the sport, even though you're not in there fighting?
I love it, man. And especially where like 90% of the shows I work are at the Apex, so it's like I come out here to work, I get to train, I get to go get PT at the PI, and I get to watch fights and get paid for it. I love it. It's like I put everything into this sport for the last 14 years. I didn't go to college. I skipped all that stuff. I took a chance on this, and I feel like the gamble's really paying off. And it's great, man. It's great to just have my life revolve around mixed martial arts.
10 years in the UFC, you mentioned. That's bonkers. Does it feel like it's been that long?
Man, it doesn't, because I'm like, people start calling me the veteran now, like especially this week with it being International Fight Week. I'm like brushing up with a lot of these young guns coming up, and I'm like, damn, I have been around for 10 years, but like in my mind, I'm still that young, hungry contender. I don't feel like a veteran. I feel like a guy that's very much working my way up. It's crazy to think it's been 10 years, but what a trip, man. It's crazy. 10 years in the UFC. Not a lot of people do that, and I got a lot more to go.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned the welterweight division. Today in a couple hours we have a press conference with Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards. How do you think that fight goes? Do you think it's another rematch victory for Kamaru Usman, or can Leon derail this run and maybe stop Kamaru from tying Anderson Silva's record for the most consecutive UFC wins?
It's tough to say. It's tough to say because you don't want to look back on their first fight and think like, oh, it's just going to be wash and repeat. Kamaru's going to do the same thing, because Leon's evolved so much. And Kamaru hasn't faced a guy in Leon that's that tall, rangy striker, fights well at the range, has a good left kick, but he also does well crashing the distance and getting in the clinch. And while Kamaru obviously has the better wrestling chops, Leon's evolving. Leon's really rounding off his game, and he's not a guy to sleep on. Kamaru, he's a dedicated champion. I know he's not looking past Leon Edwards. He's smart. He knows Leon's not the same fighter that he fought before, so I'm eager to see how it plays out. Leon brings a new flavor for the champ. Even though they fought before, he's not the same fighter he was when they fought the first time.
And I got to ask you, you were the last one in there with Sean Brady. There's a lot of hype around this guy. I know, is he as good as they say he is, I guess? Like, what do you see as his ceiling in this division?
It's tough to say, man. It's really hard to say, in a division full of Hamzat Chimaevs and Shavkat Rakhmonovs and established veterans like Gilbert Burns and guys of that sort. It's tough to say. I will say from my experience fighting him, he's fucking strong. he's really strong, powerful grappler. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can do. It's I don't feel like a lot of guys are ducking him, but I feel like it's one of those instances where it's like you see how he fights. He's one of those guys like nobody knows who Sean Brady is, and they know that he's tough as hell, so they don't want to fight him. I was willing to take that chance. Like, I always want to test myself against a guy that's labeled as a grappler. Hands down, though, he's the strongest guy I've ever faced. I moved up to welterweight, and with relative ease, I felt like the strongest. I felt like the stronger of all the opponents I faced, and locking up with that guy is a totally different animal. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and hopefully maybe down the road we can run it back. I kind of started to get my feet under me towards the end of that fight. I feel like if I had another round, I feel like if we were in a main event, I feel like I could have really took that away from him in the championship round. So nonetheless, he's a heck of a competitor, and I'm excited to see what he can do against the guys at the top of the heap.
And we know you're not healthy right now, and we don't know when you're going to be back, so I'm not going to be like, hey, I might call someone out or something. But when you look at the division, do you want to fight one of these newer faces again, or would you like to fight, someone more established?
It's tough to say. The goal is to win a title. I'm 34 years old. I haven't taken a ton of damage in my career. Like I said, it's all about myself. The damage I do is to my body. It's not like I've been knocked out. I haven't been dropped many times. Like I want to fight the fights that are going to get me closer to the title. So, are you crying? Are you okay?
Yeah, I just had a bug in my throat. So I was like, dude, you're making me so.
I was just getting you all worked up.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at like the established guys. I'm not looking at the young up and comers. Yeah. I'm just looking to focus on myself, get myself healthy, and then just see what makes sense. Have Danny Rube call Sean Shelby, figure it out from there. But right now, the focus is me. I need to focus on myself. I need to get healthy. I can't go into these fights against these guys that are the best in the world when I'm handicapping myself going into them with a very significant injury. So I'm focusing on myself.
All right, well, that brings an end to this very emotional interview with Michael Chiesa. You brought me to tears, man. I hope all is well, and looking forward to seeing you healthy and back in there.
Thanks, buddy.